Hello and welcome to another edition of the We Are Change talk show. I thank you for joining me. A shout out to the fine people at Liberty Movement Radio for rebroadcasting my content to an American audience. And a special thank you to the people that have donated to help keep the show operating. Your help is greatly appreciated. Today we have Josh and Mitchell Blanchard, two brothers that are making a positive impact, fighting for freedom, and it's a pleasure to have them on the show. So let's cross to that interview now. So joining me is Josh and Mitchell, who have been doing a tremendous job trying to restore freedom back to this country. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. How are you managing there today under the circumstances?
Thanks for having us on, Jeff. Much appreciated, mate. Look, it's been difficult. I'm not going to lie, especially, we're based here in New South Wales, and with the lockdown that we've been under, and now this medical apartheid with the whole segregated society. I'm not going to lie, it's been pretty difficult to go along with the rest of it, and we're seeing the police brutality, and just for basic things, for not like wearing a mask or just being out in the park, simply breathing fresh air. It's who would have thought we would have ever seen these sorts of scenes here in Australia? But this is the reality we're faced with.
It sure is. It's horrible, the situation that many are in. The medical tyranny is unbearable. We have people walking off the job. It's catastrophic. People taking their own lives. It's devastating. So many family members are grief-stricken. They're watching this play out. And even you can see it flows on to Facebook posts. People are very miserable and very negative, and that's totally understandable. And as we're approaching Christmas, a lot of people are panicking, trying to keep their head above water. Very difficult times, and it's a financial burden that it's put them in, as well as dealing with curfews, restrictions, and all of the stress compounds. And we see people having nervous breakdowns, very treacherous times. The New World Order is harming so many, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Thanks for having us on, Jeff.
You're welcome.
My heart goes out to you. I've seen you dealing with cops a lot and dealing with harassment and all that. And like a lot of us have, and it's like you said, we thought we'd never see this in this country. And it's unprecedented times, isn't it? And these tyrants are starting to make their moves, and we've got to make our moves back, don't we?
We certainly do. We need mass resistance, and we have seen a promising turnout at many protests, people campaigning, a whole sea of people with placards, with chants, and coming together, trying to raise each other's spirits, like-minded people coming together. That's been a strong support network, and the consistent meetups, stand in the park rallies. It's due to these events that's helped people stay positive, It's really done wonderful. So, we need more of these events and people having support networks such as this, because when you're all alone, it really makes it that much more difficult. It's the whole divide and conquer system playing out. And I've really been up against the elements, arrested twice in 1 week, slammed on the concrete, tear gas, rubber bullets, and even concussion grenades going off to try and disorientate people. These loud explosions, it's like a war zone. You would not think this is Australia. It's supposed to be the lucky country, but it's anything but. And the police presence, you don't even feel safe walking down the street here in Melbourne. You have to look over your shoulder, the stalking, the harassment, the intimidation. And even when you stand up for your human rights and you say all the right things, they just disregard that. They violate your human rights, and we see they demand ID, show directives and the fines. They are just relentless. It's psychopathic, the way that they are operating. It's like these police and the riot squads, they've been psychologically programmed to have no compassion. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. And look, I don't want to categorize, put them into a category, because there are some good policemen and women out there. Unfortunately, we're just not seeing enough of them. We did see Alex Cooney, the officer Alex Cooney, who did resign recently, and so he can speak out against this. He also started the Cops for COVID Truth, and which is fantastic. And we need more of this. We really do. You don't need to resign from your job. You got to stop enforcing tyranny. It's simple. These are innocent men and women that are just they've got every right to be out there protesting. They've had their livelihoods virtually taken away from them. The job loss, the dealings of suicide, like the amount of suicides that have, it's built up over the last 10 years or so. Like we've just gone through the roof when it comes to suicides. But through these lockdowns and the way they've been treating us, it's gone to another level now, and it's not even being spoken about. So what do you do? They're dehumanizing us. They're demonizing us and vilifying us in the media, and so anyone that sort of goes against the government narrative is just being completely hammered. And these are just normal men and women that make this country go around. It's insane. It really is.
Most certainly. And that's not why these officers joined the force. It couldn't have been. And enlisting in the academy to patrol and make sure people are wearing masks and social distancing and sanitising. Yeah, the whole way it's structured, they're enforcing this medical tyranny. And they're there to protect and serve, not harass and threaten over these restrictions, these Cho directives. And nobody here, most certainly I didn't vote for any Cho chief health officers, nothing like that. So all of this has been forced upon us. And yeah, you don't have a say in the matter. And we see a lot of violence escalating. Recently I was down at a shopping centre and there was a domestic violence situation because they didn't want to go through with this, and people are arguing, trying to push the tyranny onto others and their loved ones. And yeah, it's just so upsetting to see. And the QR codes, the scanning, that's an invasion of privacy. People are afraid of these microscopic germs. And yeah, it's just a whole new level of insanity. And it's mental torture, the way that people have been manipulated. They've got people, a lot of them are so scared to even leave their own home. They're doing click and collect. They don't want to shake hands. They don't want to see loved ones. And then it goes to another level when they're denied the right to see elderly in retirement villages, attend funerals. People can't get married. I mean, a lot of situations, they just have to put their life on hold, don't they?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I've had a few friends that are cops and they got into it and they don't want to be in it anymore and they are leaving. Because like you said, they didn't get in it for these reasons and to push the people into these directions. And just going back to I've heard that there's technology out there that is implementing thoughts into people's minds through, Wi-Fi and all sorts of technologies. And people have just got to be aware of this stuff and just always protect yourself as much as you can, and just be aware at all times.
Yeah, that's an interesting subject to raise as well. There's a lot of voice of God technologies, voice to skull, and I wouldn't rule anything out. When you're dealing with a psychopathic criminal government, they're using all these resources and technology against the people. So something that might sound a little bit far-fetched, no, you definitely have to keep an open mind because, there's a lot of people that are targeted individuals and they're coming forward with these testimonies and they deserve the respect and time given to them, don't they, and have their stories heard with that.
Yeah, Yeah, you always got to keep an open mind with a lot of things. People close themselves off to a lot of things and close their awareness off to many concepts. But yeah, we just got to keep unified and keep an open mind and keep positive at these times because it's very dark times at the moment.
Exactly, and during the lockdown, they were installing high-tech surveillance equipment, and we know they got facial recognition systems, heat sensors. So yeah, they're really doing everything possible to try and force people into this. And what we see, a lot of people complying with this medical tyranny because they're afraid. A lot of them, they don't want to go ahead with it. They believe they should be able to make their own decisions when it comes to their health. But when they've got a controlling government and what we have here, Dictator Dan, they feel like their life has been threatened. So they just have to comply. And it makes it difficult when people have families, they have bills to pay, they're trying to keep a roof over their head, children to feed. So they're willing to sacrifice their own life and go ahead with this just to keep the family afloat. And it should never, ever come down to that. In a free society, people should be able to make their own decisions, not be forced, coerced. We see the medical bribery as well taking place, coercion. It's not structured ethically. And during the lockdowns, the fast food outlets are open, the liquor stores, people can drink themselves into a stupor. But they shut down gyms. They don't want people getting sunlight on themselves. So you can definitely see it's not designed for the best interests of people's health. They want people to be sick. They don't want to heal anyone. That's why you can see the way it's all been structured like that. It's quite evident, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And, I see so many Australians that go along with this. They're not going along with it because they're fearful of the so-called virus. They're going along with it because they're fearful of the fine or being arrested or being brutalised. But, as we've seen, particularly in Melbourne, the cops have just been, a whole nother level down there with their brutality. And, we're even starting to see that a lot more here in New South Wales throughout this lockdown that we've endured over the last 3 or 4 months or whatever it's been. Yeah. So yeah, look, it's. I just think that most people are just doing it out of fear of the fine and the brutality of the police, which is sad. It really is, because I think a lot of people are starting to see through the narrative, but they just don't have that courage to stand up and to speak out against it, or to not only just that, but to not go along with it. We're so many people are just are too afraid to step into that civil disobedience, and I just feel that that's our way out of this. If we can all just stop wearing the mask, stop doing the QR codes, don't lock down when you're supposedly forced to lock down. Don't lock down. Keep your business open if you can. We're just got to be doing everything we can within our power to fight back. And there's tons of different ways that we can go about this. I know that they're making it extremely difficult at the moment here to protest in Sydney, but you just got to keep trying. You got to keep trying to get to turn up and to, like I said before, to find different ways to protest. Civil disobedience. Get out there and, like you mentioned before, Jeff, start to build the like-minded communities in your local area. And I think that, these little things are great ways to, not only resist the system, but to find ways to beat them, I guess, to get out of it. But yeah, it's you just got to be strategic. Another thing, I've been doing letterbox drops along with Mitch. We done that a few months back. We're just getting out and putting flyers everywhere in car windows and letterboxes and pinning them up on the streets. And yeah, you just got to find every which way you can, because there's no doubt it's make or break times. There's no time to sit on the fence anymore. We have to make a decision and you know, get out there and be active.
Certainly do, because they want people scared. They make an example. You can see they're attacking elderly women. There was a 70-year-old woman slammed. Another person at Flinders Street, they snuck up behind him and just slammed him onto the concrete, blood everywhere. And that sets an example. So people are like, well, I don't want to end up in that position. So they become frightened. But that's right, letterbox drops. I mean, you need exercise anyway. Walk around the block and put some flyers in mailboxes. I mean, it's enjoyable. Breathe the fresh air. That's right. More people should be doing that. It's as simple as that. And raising discussions, conversations, that's where it starts. Small in your communities, and then it can grow outwards nationwide. And they say, you know, Australia here, it started off as a prison colony and now it's ending up as one again. So, you know, and I think it's important too to try and keep your spirits up. Still focus on what you enjoy doing, whether it's hobbies, going for a drive, getting out in nature as well, trying to be grounded, get out with wildlife. Do anything to hold on to those joys, because they don't want people happy. You know, they want people depressed and the anxiety levels. So, yeah, there's a whole many factors to take in, and they should be pushing a healthy diet and lifestyle, but no, they don't want that. And they're, you know, and we see the SWAT teams flying through and they have the Predator logo on them. These people are just hunting down innocent people and firing on them. There was one individual, a young guy, he had his hands up. He's like, please don't hurt me. And they did the exact opposite. They swarmed on him and just straight violence. I mean, this is horrifying to see this play out. A lot of people, there was talk of a new world order, but they were still in a state of a false sense of security. They're watching television. They never thought it'd unravel like this and unfold the way it has. So a lot of people were caught off guard, weren't they, as well?
Yeah, definitely caught off guard. You know, I didn't think they were going to push this as quick as they have, and but yeah, we're always got to be vigilant of the next move that they make on the chessboard, and always be prepared. And I just want to let everyone know there's always good powers are here to help, but we have to do some of the work ourselves. But yeah, there's a lot of good powers here at the moment, and just keep your faith, keep your hope, and we'll get through this.
Yeah, good advice. And we've seen that Gladys Berejiklian. She came under investigation. She's been ruling over you guys there and pushing the tyranny, hasn't she?
Yeah, it's you know, and everyone was jumping for joy once you know, she resigned or whatever. But you know, like, is it really going to change anything? Let's be honest. You know, this is these people are just puppets. You know, that's as far as I'm concerned. They're just puppets for the New World Order, and you know, it doesn't matter what face is up there. They're still going to be pushing this same agenda. So yeah, we're you know, going into the next sort of phase of it now, and yeah, it disappoints me a bit. I thought I'd done a live the other week and I got a little bit worked up because, you know, so many people were, you know, over the moon that she had resigned. And look, like, I get it. It's good not having to see that face every morning at 11 o'clock. But, you know, like I said, it's not going to change anything. This Dominic Perrottet is got a shady background, and you know, I can just already see it's the same old story. He'll come in and try and smooth us over, try and win us over, but you know, he there's no doubt he'll throw us back into lockdown. And yeah, I can just see it getting to a point out here where they might relax it. You know, here in New South Wales, that they'll relax the restrictions a little bit over Christmas. They'll give us Christmas, New Year's, and then into the new year they'll, you know, really clamp down on this segregation. And you know, I can just see it. If you haven't had, you know what, you won't be allowed back out.
That's an accurate description of what's taking place. See, some people, they have a false hope. They're like, oh, excellent, we've gotten rid of this evil tyrant, but then they're replaced with someone else that'll carry out the evil bidding. That's 100% right, the statement that they make. And it's also been reported a lot of these people resign so they can hold on to their pensions as well. It's very strategic, the way they've orchestrated this. And we even see the Freemason hand signalling going on, throwing up the 666. It all stems back to secret societies. It's very well organised, the way they're doing this. And they've even openly admitted the New World Order is here and we have to take it very seriously. So they even come forward and they even tell you, don't they?
Yeah, and they show their signs everywhere and their symbolism. You know, they even got the checkerboard on every cop's uniform and cop's car, and they show it in plain sight. And a lot of people just don't want to look at it because they just want to put their head in the sand and be selfish, pretty much, because there is a lot of selfish people in this country, and that will be the downfall of this all, because we have to be united as one, because we're all one unified consciousness experiencing our individuality here, and we have to come together and unite.
Most certainly, well said. And they want everyone divided and angry at each other, people that are going forward with it, people that aren't, when we should be focusing on the real threat, the ones that are taking away our freedoms, restricting our liberties. And a lot of people are angry at the small business owners for complying. They're stuck in a catch-22 situation where they're pushing the tyranny onto the consumers, making them sanitize, making them jump through hoops just to make simple purchases. I know I'm hearing stories, people were denied the right to enter Kmart. Someone just wanted to buy some socks, but because their records weren't up to date, they were denied. People couldn't go to JB Hi-Fi. They're locked out and treated like second-class citizens, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's what this is all about, you know, the New World Order. You know, like as we edge closer towards the full-blown New World Order, that's what it's going to be, this whole universal basic income and the social credit system and that. And yeah, if you got a low score on your social credit score, well, then you won't be able to go to the shops, and you will be locked out, and it will be a two-tier society. And like you already see that in China. And people are just so, I don't know what it is out here. They just live in their own sort of bubble. Like they don't think these things are going to happen in our lifetimes and stuff. And you know, it's like it's already happening in China. Like, you know, it's only a matter of time. And yeah, it just amazes me. It really does that, you know, more people aren't seeing it. But it goes back to, you know, what is it, 18, 19, 20 months now of just this constant brainwashing, right? You know, just fear. You know, that's all we're hearing through the mainstream media is, you know, how deadly and widely infectious this so-called virus is. And, you know, and we know our only way out of it is if we all take the you-know-what. And it's like, I cannot believe it stuns me sometimes. It really does. You know, like you wake up some mornings and you just think, holy hell, like, is this reality? Is this really what we're faced with? But you know, in saying that, I think we needed something like this to happen for us to move forward. You know, like I've been awake, as you fellas would have, you know, we've been all awake for quite a while, for some time now. And you know, we could see that this world needed so many changes, you know, even with the old world, like before all this COVID pantomime, you know, like there was so many things leading up to this, you know, with the whole leftist woke agenda. The last 10 or so years, they've just been smashing that onto us with the political correctness and whole nanny state, and that's really sort of prepared us for this situation that we're going through at the moment. And everyone's just needs to be governed. They're just looking up to the government, to say, what do we do next? What do we do next? No one wants to take control of their own lives and take their power back. One of the biggest things I try to get out, in my talks and that, is for people to remember who and what they are. There's so many people that are they just think they're little old me, but every individual human on this planet has got something to offer, and we're all incredibly powerful. And we need to remember this. We really do. We remember who and what we are. It's over.
It certainly is. Very well said. It's becoming more and more like China. It has been every day. The communism, the way it's ramped up, the social credit scores. Before long, people will be locked out of public transport. A lot of people are scared their welfare payments are going to be taken away. We're under threat constantly, and it's very severe the way it's all playing out, very Orwellian, and people are losing their job even for having an opinion. They're worried about sharing their thoughts on Facebook because they know employers are looking at that. Their family members, people are judged and ridiculed. They want to stand in their own truth and power, but they're afraid of being mocked. And then we got, these paid provocateurs stepping through as well. We've seen a lot of powerful protests here. We had the construction workers standing up. It wasn't until they were impacted that they weren't allowed to have lunch in their tea rooms, smoko, and they started to realise that, hang on, their job is at stake. That, they all came out in numbers, and that was a very powerful display, walking miles and miles and really raising a lot of attention. That was very powerful. People coming together, that was wonderful. It's not until a lot of people are actually impacted that they take the initiative. They get out there and then they go 100% at it. But they really try and disperse the crowds. We see they set up command centers, and a lot of people they're just going out for lunch and they get stopped, hassled, even when they live within proximity. That's still not honoured. So it's constant attack every day. And if you can still raise your head up high and still be in some relatively happy spirits, then that is a very much a testament to the person's character and will. If you're still standing now, defiant and looking at evil right in the face, that shows a tremendous amount of bravery and courage with you guys as well.
Victoria has shown the most courage, and I'm so happy and thankful that they have stood up like you have, because we need to stand up. And a lot, like you said, a lot of people are in fear and these lower chakras, and they can't connect with their higher self. And we need to align all our 7 chakras and reconnect with our higher self and get out of these lower states of consciousness and fear and all that.
Yeah, that's a good point too. A lot of it is a spiritual battle. They want people trapped in the lower frequencies, the anger, sadness, turmoil, jealousy, revenge, envy, and all of these negative emotional states. Because, when people are trapped in those lower realms, they don't reach their full potential. When they're happy, they have love in their heart, then they have more power, they're more confident, they're more positive, and they can achieve more. So they've really covered all bases, haven't they? Trying to keep people in this perpetual state of fear-based mind control. And then when you switch on the television, you get an endless stream of propaganda non-stop. So, you switch on the TV and they're saying, stay home, sanitize. So, it really is shocking. Isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and it's exactly right. It's the fear that's held everyone back, and it's not only until you stop living out of that fear and really embrace the love aspect and let that flow through you. That when you get to that, you're, it's you're untouchable virtually, and that's what they're afraid. That's what the enemy is afraid of, is us, all reaching our highest potential and realizing, who and what we are and what we're capable of. And another thing, like you said, was no one will stand up until they're personally impacted, and then it's so true. It's so sad, but it's so true, and we see that a lot out here where we live, because I'm a little bit out of Sydney, up here in the Blue Mountains, and then Mitch is even further out west, and that rural community out there is just hasn't lifted a finger, virtually didn't bat an eyelid to any of it last year, until this year, and recently they've been put into lockdown, and they don't bat an eyelid about it. They just do whatever they're told, and because they're just all trustworthy of the news and the governments. They couldn't think that the authorities and that could be capable of such atrocities, but they are. They're pure evil. These people, like you said, Jeff, they're psychopaths.
They certainly are, and a lot of people are looking at self-preservation. Some are a little bit selfishly thinking about themselves. They'll sit back and watch other people's pain and misery, and they feel for them, I'd imagine, but it's not until that they're under threat that they take action. It's the way I guess a lot of people have been designed. Look after number one, and charity starts at home as well, and always look after the home front before you look after anyone else. That's the psychology behind it. If more people were thinking as a group based and think, well, I better look after my neighbour, because there might be a time when I might need his help, and have that sort of thinking pattern. But instead, what they want is people to dob in their neighbours, report their co-workers, and they want people to be narking on one another, and that goes against the Australian way. You don't go and tell, you don't go and dog anyone. That's just not how we should be. But, they're trying to, give people incentives to report someone. People are worried about putting their bins out late because of curfews and these 10K limits. I've seen the Ring of Steel and some of the checkpoints here. People have stopped. They'll smash windows out of cars, drag women out, throw them on the ground, handcuff them, women that are crying. I don't know how anybody could do that and see someone so emotionally distraught, and then they lay the heavies on them, surrounding them, guns and the weapons that they've got and the standover tactics. It's like they get a thrill off it, a lot of these cops. And some of them enjoy it. A lot, I'd imagine, don't. But we need to see, as you mentioned, cops for COVID truth, more people handing in their badge and guns and saying no, because at the end, their soul is at stake. And I believe they'll go to hell for this, what they're doing. There's no excuse for it. And a lot of them, there's been reports, a lot of officers are drinking themselves to sleep at night because they can't cope with what they're doing. They know it's wrong. And there's been videos come out where someone said, how could you be doing this? Have a heart, have a conscience. And they've even admitted they know it's wrong, but, they have to look after their wife. They got a mortgage, and it's a sad case when all they have to do is threaten their jobs, and then they'll comply with medical tyranny and push it onto others. So it's a vicious cycle we're seeing. We need people to break away from this cycle, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. It's outrageous. Some of the things that you just said, it blows your mind how barbaric they have been lately. But like I said before, it could be possession. Like some of these cops are just acting that out of line, and it's out of this world. But I know there is evil out there and evil people, and people have just got to take control of themselves and not let themselves get overtaken by these parasites. Strong people stand up for themselves, but stronger people stand up for others.
100%. And all it takes for evil to prosper is for good people to do nothing. So yeah, we need to take action immediately. And you know, it's hard. Some people feel like it's a losing battle at times, and it can definitely feel that way. But we don't have a choice regardless. You know, our life depends on this. We must stand up for freedom and be on the right side of history. That's what it boils down to, doesn't it? And whatever happens, we must have no fear and just face the tyranny unflinching.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And what we're seeing as well, they're just pinning cases on people here. They've tried to frame me for something I didn't do, something from 2 years ago when I politely requested that some posters be removed from a surgery. I showed them some information, and now they're trying to cold case me and others. And there was a recording and audio that came out where police were having a discussion. They were arresting someone and holding them in the city here in Melbourne, and you could clearly hear them say, we'll just pin whatever charge we can on them, even though it won't stick, just to set some bail conditions for them as a control mechanism. So even when you're doing all the right things, a lot of these police are rogue, and they're breaking the law themselves instead of upholding it. So the corruption is rampant, which is soul defeating as well.
Yeah. I think a lot of them are just on power trips, to be honest. They've just been given a little bit of extra power, and, you know, they're just completely abusing it. And it's disgusting to see. It really is, you know, when they know that they're doing the wrong thing. And deep down, surely they would know that they're doing it to innocent people too, you know. Like some of the... I think it was a 12-year-old got pepper sprayed down here in Sydney not long ago. You know, we've seen, like, amount of old people just get fucking ragdolled, and mate, it's unbelievable. Like, how can you seriously live with yourself if you're one of these officers? Honestly.
Exactly right. And the masks as well. I always carry a drink around with me in the city because that's one of the reasons that you can avoid going through with the tyranny if you've got a beverage. And even on a couple of occasions, I've had an orange juice and the cops have just grabbed that out of my hand and just thrown it on the ground. Like, they don't even care. And they've snatched my press pass from around my neck, really rough. I've had bruises all over me. I've been in pain from it. And they're like, where's your exemption? And even when you say, well, under the Privacy Act, you don't have to show any exemptions. And exactly. You know, they just do not care, and they trample all over people's rights. It's very sad to see. And yeah, I've been put in custody just for trying to report because they have a very guilty conscience and they don't want to be caught on film carrying out these violent acts of police brutality. That's why they go to enormous lengths to try and target journalists. They don't want independent media covering it. And I'm always reluctant to take expensive camera gear into the city because I don't want them to smash it. I mean, you know, that's someone's livelihood trying to go in there and, you know, make a living. They'll destroy property. And I've seen them, and it's very disrespectful. They throw stuff on the ground, wallets, phones. They don't care. And yeah, it's really sad. And I've confronted a couple of officers even after they arrested me. I said, that was very rough what you done. And I've got bruises. And they said, well, you were resisting. They've got an answer for everything. And, you know, it's just shocking. It really is.
Always got to stay vigilant at this time because we are all going to come under attacks from different points of, you know, from the police, as well as now we're seeing protests that are going against us. And I think we've seen that small one up in Queensland. I couldn't believe that, you know, but yeah, we're going to be vilified and we're going to have these people start attacking us even harder. Yeah,
I'm worried about the FEMA camps. There's a lot of mining communities where they're setting up these prison camps. And you can say, they said, oh, well, it's a good alternative to hotel quarantine. People will have balconies And we've seen some of these camps set up, barbed wire. There was one facility in the UK, people had an exercise limit out in the car park surrounded by armed guards. And if anyone, and we know these tests are invalid, and if anyone tests positive, they try and move or get away, they're treated like fugitives. They're hunted, put on the media like they've committed some sort of crime, like they're murderers. I mean, but what? Because they've got flu-like symptoms? The insanity is evil.
It is. It is evil. It's yeah. Well, look, I'm running out of words to describe how diabolical the actions of it. You know, the police and authorities have been.
It's shocking. Exactly.
It is.
People are afraid to cough in the supermarket or sneeze because they might be looked at. I mean, that's no way to live, is it?
No, none of this. Like, everything that they're doing is just unlawful, and you know, it's dehumanizing. And you know, like, I think about the poor old kids in this situation. You know, like, it's leading up to 2 years of it now, and you know, what about them poor old kids that are 4, 5, 6 years of age? You know, they're learning. You know, that's where the most sort of learning takes place you know, through them years. And you know, if they've lived them years, buddy, growing up with this pandemic, it's like, oh my God, you know, like seeing facial expressions, having human contact, and just these little things, mate. Like, it's going to be detrimental to their health and their, well, not only, like, you know, their physical health, but their mental health, and it's going to be catastrophic. You know, the repercussions on these kids.
It certainly would. Very important that you raise that. A lot of the children, they've been conditioned to accept this as normal, having playgrounds shut, barbecue areas, sanitising, going along with masks. And it teaches them not to stand up for their human rights and stand up for their freedoms and just go ahead with it. So, and then they'll become more susceptible to the slave society as they're older. They won't retaliate. They won't talk back. They'll just go ahead with it. That's what people in these positions of power want, to just have people like slaves in their community, too afraid to do anything. And yeah, it's a very frightening reality that we're living in. And yeah, it's shocking. And this is all public equipment. Taxpayers' money has paid for the playgrounds for these areas. So, yeah, it's high treason what these dictators and these politicians are committing. The only hope will be that they face Nuremberg 2.0 and are punished for this, as well as the mainstream media that are going along. You know, that they're aiding and abetting this crime as well, trying to interview people, crucify those that go against the system, asking them where they live. I mean, yeah. It really,
well, they're the enablers, the way I look at it. Without the media, none of this would be able to, you know, happen. Like, it's they keep everyone in the state of fear. They just keep pumping out the propaganda, and yeah, mate, they need to be first held accountable. Like, they're just as guilty as anyone else in this. And yeah, if anyone that's watching this, if you still got the mainstream news on your 7, 9, 10, your CNN, BBC, whatever, please get it off. Do yourselves a favour. Do us all a favour and turn that garbage off.
Yeah, very good advice. Yes, that's right. And we see a lot of the mainstream media down here, they're getting assaulted. They're having cans of Coke because thrown at them. People are pouring liquids on them because they're sick of it. They're fed up with being lied to. It's insulting to people's intelligence. And if you look at some of the dislike ratios on the mainstream media YouTube channels, it's overwhelmingly negative. People know that this is wrong, and they know it's propaganda, it's brainwashing. So, yeah, that's a very good sign. It's a strong indication that that's not going through. It's not sinking in when people are disliking the mainstream media. So, I mean, that's positive to see. The conditioning, it's not taking hold on some. So we have to hold on to all these promising signs people standing up against the mainstream and pointing out where they're wrong. I mean, that's wonderful to see. And independent media is the only hope. People still bringing the truth to people. I mean, that's powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I'm so thankful to have organisations like We Are Change and that have helped me over the years with so much knowledge and just real news. And we need more of that, and we need unity, like I said before. And like you said about the likes to dislikes, a lot of the videos turn off their comments.
Yes.
That's just never been done before, and they won't even allow open debate. And that's the biggest problem at the moment. Why don't people want to have an open debate anymore? We need to get back to working through these things and, moving on.
Yes, that's a really excellent point, how they switch the comment sections off. That's an admission of guilt. That shows they got something to hide. That's very suspicious, isn't it? And that says it all when they do that. And it shows they're guilty for what they're doing when they go as far as doing that. That's like hiding evidence of their crime.
Exactly. And the fact that they don't want to have a debate on air or anything, there's so many doctors that are opposing of the mainstream ones. Well, why doesn't Channel 7 or something get them on air and have a debate together? Yeah, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? They're hiding from the debates because they're going to get crushed. They got nothing, and that's it. We've seen that in the past. You want to, hide. That's how you get away with the truth, is by hiding it, isn't it? Typical liars.
100%. And anytime there is a debate and someone calls them out on it, they usually cut the feed. They end the interview short. They'll go to enormous lengths to stop the truth getting out and to silence people. And what they do as well with a lot of prominent figures and activists, they try and set bail conditions that refuse them to be on social media. They're trying to silence and put gag orders on people. That's because you can see they're anxious and they're really guilty and very sinister the way it's all being played out like that. They don't want people talking. Freedom of speech and the truth is the enemy to these people.
Yeah. If there was no censorship, we would already have won the battle, I feel, because the censorship has created where a lot of people don't even see our side of the debate or don't even hear about it. And that's the biggest problem, because we have to, we're trying to get out this information, and we've been censored so much, and it's not a democracy.
No, it's not. There is no freedom of speech. There is no opportunity to have your voice heard. And anything that goes against the system, people get crucified, demonized on the mainstream media. They want to attack people. And it's very sad. And there's a lot of people with a lot of contracts that they're getting paid a lot of money, and they'll have their contract terminated if they speak out. So they're bound by these contractual agreements as well. And money really rules over a lot. They worship the dollars, and they're not going to say anything, especially when people have lucrative TV deals with networks. They'll toe the government line just to maintain that. And because we see a lot of people, they've got dreams of being an actor or a musician, and a lot of that's just crushed when they step forward and speak out. And a lot of it, they're losing a lot of their hope anyway. That people can't tour, they can't do live music, they can't perform. So it's a lot of people, their dreams are pretty much over, and that really hurts a lot of people too. And it drives them down into the depths of despair. They want people to self-destruct as well with unhealthy lifestyles. They push that. We see incentives. You can get free donuts and all the rest of it. they want people to just sit in their home and just drive themselves into a real negative state. So a lot of it is the government, the medical tyranny, and people causing harm on themselves. So it's a whole combination. That's how they're trying to cull off the population. It's genocide. And we see it written on the Georgia Guidestones. It all goes back to this depopulation. We've heard it in TED Talks. They really want to target a lot of people, and they go for the elderly. And we see a lot of people, their mental state might be impaired. They might have disabilities intellectually as well. And they haven't got the presence of mind to be able to use critical thinking skills, to be able to do any research when it comes to their medical health. A lot of them, it's peer pressure. They got carers pushing them into this as well. So, yeah, a lot of them are coerced into this as well. And that's what they want to do. It goes back into eugenics as well, doesn't it? Cull off some of the people that are frail and that are not strong as well, mentally and physically. So, yeah, it's very well organised, and the way they're carrying this out. They know exactly what they're doing, the tyrants, and they know exactly the damage that's being caused, don't they?
Yeah, it's been planned for a very long time, this PSYOP, and everything that's being played out at the moment. But yeah, it's just, we have to remember that. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought there.
No, you're exactly right. It has been planned out many years in advance. We've seen George Herbert Walker Bush come out and say, we do have a very definite prospect of a new world order, and we will get this new world order. It's what the globalists fantasize about. We see these secret Bilderberg meetings, the Freemason lodge groups where they meet up, the trilateral commissions. That's all they talk about. They sit around in these, the Oval Office, White House, and they drink, they celebrate, they laugh and joke about the demise of humanity. And yeah, it's like their greatest wish. And we even seen the Denver airport, the murals they had up, the artwork. It's the writing's been on the wall for many years, and they're hell bent on this new world order, and they are focused on destruction, aren't they?
Definitely. And just to refer back to the whole depopulation, there was a military website. I'm not sure if it's been taken down, or maybe the part of the website which showed all these countries that were going to have mass declines in their populations. I think Australia's was predicted to drop by about 10 million in over 5 years. At the time we reached 2025, we were only looking at about 15 million.
That's right.
Yeah, and then, as you said, the Georgia Guidestones, and like another thing is, like, we've been at this war for a long time. Like you said, Jeff, they've been smashing us from every angle. Whether it be the food, the water, the air that we breathe, the radiation from all the internet and whatnot, previous juices, just everything. They've just really been trying their best to dumb us down and to live short lifespans. And then now it's just accelerated. We're just we're in the end game, and like you said, it all comes back to the depopulation and transhumanism. Too. They want to leave what's left. A non-organic human, this new human 2.0, which will have no inalienable human rights. So
yeah, exactly.
This is exactly what they want.
100%. And they say, there's not enough land to support the population, which is a bold-faced lie. We got plenty of land here, and they got the technology, renewable energy sources. And we've seen it with Las Vegas. It's like an oasis in the desert. They can do that here in Australia. They've got the capabilities for that. So to say that we're running out of space is just outrageous, how anyone can buy that. And, we've got cloud seeding. There's so many different ways that they can boost the agricultural industry. and support heaps of life, sustainable energy. But no, they keep pushing that lie that we're running out of land, which certainly is not the case. And it's
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of land inside the planet too, also.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of room, you know.
That's 100% true. And yeah, it's so sad what they did to the farmers as well, and a lot of the droughts that have occurred. You know, there's been a lot of manipulation there as well with the weather, and you know, we had the bushfires. That was all designed. A lot of people have stated that they wanted to burn out a lot of the wildlife, so it makes it harder for them to go off grid to try and escape the cities, because they can't go and hunt, they can't go and take care of themselves. And yeah, so they've covered all bases and covered every angle to try and increase the level of harm that will be carried out here.
Yeah, definitely. And that's sort of when it all started, wasn't it? Was when the bushfires kicked off. It's almost like that was a smoking ceremony to begin the New World Order initiation. Like, but yeah, you make a good point there. But like, no matter how hard they try to destroy Mother Nature, they're never going to win. You know, just like love will always win, and the same with Mother Nature. It's too big and strong, and you know, where we live here is where we got massacred by the bushfires, but it's all pretty much growing back now. You know, I know it was devastating, and we lost a lot of wildlife and that, but yeah, it's. Well, I guess what I'm getting at is like that they can try all they want, but they're not going to win in the end.
Yeah, we'll always spring back to life.
Yeah, well, that's a very positive attitude to have, and that can raise a lot of people's spirits. In a lot of dark times, there can be bright days ahead. So it's you know, it's good to think towards, you know, the future as well, and not be so trapped when drowned in this doom and gloom. A lot of people are trying to be proactive. They're stocking up on non-perishable goods, food stores, water, and a lot of people have been smart in that regard. They've been preparing. A lot of people are looking at getting camper vans as well, and trying to be mobile, go out in the bush and try and get away from this prison society. You know, there's trying to look at some sort of alternative, look at their options.
Yeah, we've definitely been the same, stocking up on everything, and even I've been working hard on some veggie gardens. Very important to do that, and always keep a good amount of seeds on you if you are going to go out in the wild, and just, you know, little things like a flint or just all sorts of things you got to get ticked off your list and be prepared.
Yeah, exactly. A flint. Learn how to fish as well. That can be important. And try and get used to that. It's a pretty hard life living off grid. People aren't used to not having the creature comforts, the luxuries, you know, going to a store and just buying whatever you need and having that at your convenience. But yeah, if you can get yourself slowly adapted to that lifestyle, then it might make it easier in future when people have to get their bug out bag. They have to take off. Once the military start going door to door, knocking and pushing this tyranny on people, and once you're denied entry, like we're seeing now, it might just come to the point where it's time to just make that decision to try and get to a safe space, some sort of land. And it's great if we can see a lot of more people setting up these community communes where everyone puts a few $1,000s and they group up and set up their own communities. So we are seeing a lot of that too, which is wonderful. You know, you don't have to just give up. That you can. There's always ways. You know, be strategic, think, and have these and brainstorm sessions with people. How can we protect ourselves when families come together? And some of these communities, everybody has their own skills they can bring to the table. Some people might be electricians. They might be good at working carpentry. And yeah, we need more of these sort of setups taking place. And yeah, just doing whatever you can to try and minimize the damage that these ruthless dictators are causing.
Yeah, that's it. 100%. You know, it's almost like we've got to, that plan B's got to be a new way of life. You know, we've been stuck in this old way, like, you know, where we just work these mundane jobs, you know, where you're just stuck in the grind, and you know, it's just pretty basic sort of stuff. You know, you get your food from the shops, and you know, you go out to the pub for your entertainment or whatever. Like, we need to look at different ways of life, you know, and start being more self-sufficient, more self-sustainable, and being reliant more on you know, our neighbours and friends and family, and people that are going to stick it out with us, you know, because that's what we've lost over the years, you know, is this, the unity in community, like the community, and that's what community means, common unity, you know, and it's completely lost. And you know, we need to get back to that. We need to get back to helping one another out, and just really seeing everyone in the world as your brother and sister, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And the medical professionals, we had a rally here recently. A lot of nurses aren't happy with what's going on, so they're walking off the job. They're going out and protesting. They're saying this isn't right, and now they're getting demonized for doing that. It's like last year they were pushed on as heroes in the media, and now they're being persecuted for having their own freedom of speech. And if the situation was really as bad as what it is with a so-called virus, then they wouldn't be firing medical health professionals, frontline workers at hospitals. They wouldn't be doing that. So, you know, so there's a lot of signs that just goes to show that something doesn't add up, you know, when you have a lot of nurses speaking out and doctors, and they're not being heard and they're being ridiculed. So, yeah.
Well, it just goes back to the censorship, doesn't it? Like Mitch said, I think if there wasn't the censorship, it'd be over by now.
I believe that too,
because, like the amount of doctors and scientists and like people in that field that know what they're talking about, you know, with virology and whatnot. And, you know, they've called this out for what it is, and they just get, you know, banned, gagged, silenced, censored. Like, and that's the thing, like, a lot of people are just sleeping under a rock, and they don't hear about any of this stuff, you know. Like, I had the cops pay me a visit the other week, last week, and so many of my my friends and that I told them, like, they were just gobsmacked. And I'm like, well, what haven't you been, you know, where have you been the last bloody 18 months, you know? This is nothing. This is my first little visit, where other people like yourself, Jeff, have been getting fucking hammered by the cops. And, you know, oh, mate, you know, like my good mate Smoking Joe, you know, he just got off bloody house arrest. He had to do nearly 80 days of house arrest or something. It's insane. And then, you know, the amount of brutality and that. But yeah, like what I was getting at was, these people that are just sleeping under a rock, that they don't even know that these atrocities are playing out.
Exactly right. I've had more dealings with the police this year than I have in my whole life, even as a teenager and everything, you know. So, I mean, that goes to show. I've had detectives here at the door countless times, so many times I've forgot. Sometimes I haven't even filmed it, you know, like, and a lot of the time, because it's the same video over and over, it becomes, they're here asking the same questions. They turned up here and they had printouts of my Instagram, We Are Change Melbourne, and they were showing pictures of me at protests, and I said, absolutely, I'm there. I'm reporting as a member of the media, and I'll be at the next one too. And I sent a bunch of fines back. I haven't received any further correspondence, so that's a positive sign. But a lot of people that have attended protests with me have received fines. They've been hounded and harassed. And it's unacceptable the way they do this, turning up at people's doors, and even as a preemptive strike the night before a protest. Sometimes they'll even turn up at midnight, like, no respect. And a lot of people here campaigning, they've got families, they're disturbing them, children that are trying to sleep and they're bashing on screen doors, trying to push documents through, slide them under the door. I mean, they go to enormous lengths to try and stop people. And it really is sad. And it shows they're guilty.
Yeah, it's outrageous. It's such bullying and harassment. There's so many, there's political prisoners even,
Yes.
after that last big protest in Sydney, there was the guy that runs Oz versus Agenda. I think
Mm-hmm.
he's still in jail.
Oh.
Yeah, I think he got put away for 6 months, wasn't it, Josh? But he was the reason why that protest was so big, and yeah, that
Who you
they
talking
knew
about?
that.
Oh,
Anthony,
Anthony.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Anthony Kaloof. Yeah, he's still in jail.
That's devastating. I heard that story. He was traveling down somewhere, I believe, interstate for the protest, doing the right things, making a tremendous effort for freedom. And people such as that gentleman should be praised, rewarded for those actions, bravery and courage, looking after other people. It's the Australian spirit. Instead, they're punished for that. And yeah, that's devastating. Very tragic to see. Yeah,
The world's inverted at the moment. Definitely,
Yeah.
it's crazy what's going on. Yeah,
it really is sad. And they've put gag orders on a lot of radio stations from speaking out about this too. Anybody that's on the radio, presenters, they can't even speak out about it. So, I mean, yeah, it really is sad. And to see people get punished, I've seen good-hearted women, with people in their even 40s and 50s turning up at protests, getting locked up, thrown on the ground. I mean, in front of their children as well. And what we had here at the Shrine, a war memorial, people being fired on with rubber bullets, that's an international war crime. It's disgusting the way people are being treated. And yeah, the violence and the heavy-handed tactics. Yeah, as I said, you would not, this is supposed to be the lucky country, and they're trying to just break people down. This is the most intense form of psychological warfare that we've ever seen. Yeah. So, a lot of people are having nightmares, post-traumatic stress disorder. They're waking up in the middle of the night, panicking. They're having nightmares that they're being interrogated by police, and a lot of court cases coming up. And how people will be able to enjoy their Christmas. Yeah, it's a very sad scenario, And then what's upsetting as well is when the children see their parents in an emotional state. A lot of them are angry and upset because of fines, watching their businesses collapse. I mean, yeah, it affects people on so many different levels. It really does. And a lot of people, they feel that there is no end in sight. It was supposed to be 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and now it's just going to be permanent the way it is. And, and it's really disrespectful when somebody's had a really successful work career. Their professionalism might be top notch. They've had that occupation for 20 years. That's all disregarded. If they don't comply, they're out without a job. And I mean, that's just unethical, to say the least, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is, and I hope that, we get to a point where everyone can start to see it, because, let's be honest, the veil has fallen. It's there for everyone to see, but unfortunately people keep pulling the blind shut and they don't want to look. It's where do you draw the line, sort of thing too. It's I know personally for me, I'm getting to that point where I don't know if I want to be a part of this communistic society anymore. I don't want to go. I just who wants to be a part of something that's discriminatory and just. I've lost my train of thought, but you know what I mean. Like, who wants to be part of this society that's buying into all this stuff?
Yeah, you're right on the money with what you're saying, and I'm inundated with so many messages from people internationally in all different countries saying, "I can't believe what you're dealing with there in Australia. That's unbelievable, the way you're being treated. Anyone would think that's a war-torn country, or you're in some sort of war zone." And they send their strength and well wishes. So when the when a lot of the footage goes around the world, people are beside themselves. They're looking at what's happening in Australia. They can't believe it. They're like, wow, it's the New World Order on steroids, you know? And when we can broadcast the footage, do interviews like this, it really gives people hope. People that are stuck in their homes, people that are depressed, they watch shows like this and others, and they're like, wow, there is courageous people out there. They're talking, they're bringing the information to the forefront. Courage is contagious. And when you show a high level of that, it makes other people feel brave as well.
Yeah.
So that, you know, that's very important too, to radiate positive vibes of bravery and be fearless. Because, you know, when you start to break down and you put out vibes that you're scared, it makes other people anxious. And it's a flow-on effect. So
100%, Jeff.
Yeah, so just by staying strong and just by having conversations like this, it gives people hope. And hope can save a life.
Definitely, yeah. And that's basically, you know, what I've been, the biggest message I've been trying to drive home is just, yeah, to keep positive, keep them vibes high. And even when it does get difficult, you just got to find a way to pull yourself out of it, get yourself in a routine where you're doing things that, you know, to better your health, getting out, getting more sunlight, getting out into nature, spending more time in nature, you know, being more active, doing plenty of exercise and stretching, meditation, prayer. You know, the people underestimate the power of prayer. You know, this is the time to be, you know, really spiritually connected and having that faith, you know. And I just think if we all can start to do these things, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier than, you know, to get through than if you know, you're just staying in this low vibrational state.
Definitely. And what you mentioned too with the prayer, we see them trying to shut down churches. They've arrested pastors. They don't want anybody worshipping. It just goes to show the satanic agenda that's being pushed out. And any church that won't allow someone in to worship because of the tyranny that's being pushed through, that's not a house of God anymore. That's a house of Satan. So, you know.
Absolutely. You know, and then you can just see they've just really tried to put the Satanism right in front of our faces now, haven't they? You know, well, you know, we're in, like I said before, we're in the end game, and you can tell they're just going hell for leather and to try and get everyone to accept Satanism, to accept pedophilia. You know, I think I seen a couple of years back, I think it was a TED talk where they were talking about pedophilia and how it should become a sexual preference. Yeah. You know? Oh,
yeah, we
sexual preference to have sex with kids who can't consent. Are you fucking kidding me?
And they talk about
that's outrageous.
Exactly right. And lowering the age of consent as well, talks about that. We've seen the Safe Schools program. It's all very perverted. It is very much pedophilic the way it's done. And a lot of parents feel like they have no control over what's going on. The only resort they can do is homeschooling. We're seeing a lot of people now, a lot of parents, they're taking their children out and trying to educate them at home because they don't feel safe sending their child off to school with the perversion, the medical tyranny, and every other attack that's being placed on them. It's psychologically disturbing. They want to corrupt young, innocent minds. And they're effectively doing that. And it's very disturbing to see.
Yeah, it's a massive psyop, and I just can't believe people can't see it because, like you said, I really get ticked off when the kids are brought into all this, and like you said, they don't have a voice, and we need to be that voice, and we need to keep courageous, and for the people that can't, because these indoctrination systems have been just going for too long, and you know, the government is governing these people's minds so much that they have no common sense anymore, and you know, we just have to keep on fighting as much as we can.
Yeah, we certainly do. And you guys have been fighting hard. You're on Instagram and BitChute as well, aren't you?
Yeah. I was originally on YouTube, but I still am, but I've sort of just stopped uploading there because I got to the point where, if I had another strike or another deletion of a video, then that would have been it. I would have had my entire channel removed. I could keep trying to do what you're doing and censor myself a little bit more and stick to some topics. I may, do that in the future. But yeah, as for now, I've just been going hard on BitChute, and that's where my podcast is. And then I'm also on Telegram, Telegram as well, and Instagram, where I do some Instagram lives and stuff like that as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I've got a range of different type of videos on BitChute, just on Freedom Network, as well as my Instagrams are freedom_network_Oz.
Yep, excellent. Yeah, there's censorship, jumping through hoops just to keep your channel afloat. I've had to take 2 and 3 month breaks just to wait for strikes to disappear before I can re-upload again. Because when you have years and years of work, it's not worth jeopardizing it. So and then I've had to upload to other channels, and Instagram has actually been a big help, being able to utilize that platform and bring in a whole new audience over there with the We Are Change Melbourne. So I'm very positive about that. That's kept my spirits up when I wasn't able to upload here, and utilizing BitChute and Rumble and other platforms. Otherwise, everything just grinds to a halt when you can't upload because you're not going to risk it. And that's what happens. But some of the feedback has been sensational. I'm sure you guys get a lot of compliments as well, and what's coming through. And that is very encouraging and inspirational. Some of the wonderfully heartwarming comments that people write through, and how much you guys have helped them. And likewise, I mean, that's fuel for the battle as well, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's what keeps us going. Because let's be honest, it can get tough sometimes. Some days are a lot difficult than others, and I've definitely reached a few points in my time doing this where I thought, maybe I should just not worry about it anymore. But then you receive a nice little comment or something, and it just lifts them spirits again. And but yeah, no, you're dead right. So we just got to make sure that we're supporting one another, and I love this collaborating, and I think we need to do more of it with like-minded people. And but yeah, no, it's definitely helps getting a message of encouragement.
Absolutely. And it's fantastic to see some new faces step into the truth community, people with talents that they can bring to the table as well, protesting, doing interviews, and really improving some of their skills as well. And you can watch people grow. And I've been supporting a few of the younger people that have stepped into this space, giving them tips. And that's really good to watch them grow as well. And teaching them a bit about YouTube and trying to fast track them to success. And, that's wonderful to see, and watch people really improve and grow. I mean, that's wonderful to see. That's exactly what we need, positive reinforcements for the battle as well. And I think people that have been around this arena for a long time, they have a certain responsibility to provide guidance and support, and have new people on the show as well, introduce them to their audience and help them with subscribers, something that never really used to happen when I got into the space. No one was doing that. It was every man for themselves. There was a lot of ego involved as well, which is natural. A lot of people competing for views, and there was a lot of that as well. But now I think because there's clear and present danger, we're starting to see a lot of that ego is sort of taken a back seat. People are supporting one another because they know our life, is in a real serious threat here. So we have to sort of zoom out, look at the bigger picture, and try and support one another instead of being so competitive. That's how it was years ago. Yeah, but now I've seen a whole change of morale, and even at protests too, when we're being fired upon, a lot of people have different rivalries. That's sort of been put put to the side and they're asking, how are you going? You're not hurt, you're not injured, are you okay? And we're starting to see a whole change of people's thought patterns as well, and people caring for one another. And I imagine it would be like that in war too. You know, when people are in the military, they're at boot camp, there's certain personalities they don't get along with. But once they're deployed out into a war zone, you sort of have to look after one another. And you see that camaraderie take place. So we're seeing that now, which is positive, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. That's what it's all about, you know. Unity is key. And we really need to unite in this time. We need to put all our differences aside and just focus on taking down the enemy. You know, I know, yeah, there are some differences amongst the truth community, but at the end of the day, we're all got the same goal, and that's to free ourselves from this enslavement. So yeah, we need unity and you know, as quick as possible.
And I think we're starting to see that now. Well, it's been
definitely.
It's been wonderful to have you on the program. You're both welcome back anytime. Continued success with all you're doing. You're going from strength to strength. It's wonderful to see. And take care. Keep in touch.
So thankful to have us on, Jeff, and I appreciate all the work you've done over the years, mate. And you're a real, legend in this movement. And I'm so thankful for you to have us on.
I'm grateful to hear that. All my compliments go out to you guys, what you're doing. And I hope no danger comes your way. Well, that concludes today's broadcast. It was a pleasure to have those gentlemen on the show. Be sure to like, share and subscribe. And if you can, consider making a donation to We Are Change Melbourne to help keep this operation running. It's with your help that I can continue exposing tyranny, covering protests, and staring down the face of evil.